The following program is intended for mature audiences.
What do you say we have a rock and roll party?
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Tomorrow's the opening of Last Jedi, right?
Yep, that's why I'm watching these right now. Because I'm behind. I wanted to get them all done in a reasonable amount of time, but now I'm cramming them. Where I'm watching all of them. I was watching them in episode order: 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, see, what you got to do is you got to skip the prequels. Then you've got
They're part of it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I
even Rogue One, even Rogue One brought back Space Jimmy Smits from the prequels.
Yeah.
As much as I want to skip them and just ignore them, it's no. I want to be completist. They are part of the Star Wars.
Did Jimmy Smits have a line in Rogue One? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Because I remember he was in 5 scenes and he was just standing there and I thought, is he going to talk at any point?
Well, the thing is with that, if you've never seen the prequels and you don't know what Jimmy Smits' character is, they're having a discussion at the little round table, and then he comes in and there's the music cue, the Force theme comes on when he steps out of the shadows. He doesn't say anything, but it's just that scene is just there to be oh yeah, Jimmy Smits is here. It's all right, cool.
That was I was so happy when I saw Space Jimmy Smits is back. Yes.
Has that dude not had the greatest career that you've never heard of anybody in acting? I'm serious.
NYPD Blue.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know, but he goes way back, to the 80s.
He was in one of those really bad made-for-TV Stephen King adaptations. I forget which one.
I first became aware of Jimmy Smits, and he was on a show called L.A. Law back in the 80s.
Right, yeah.
And then, like Zach said, he's NYPD Blue. He's been in a bunch of, little movies here and there. He's probably a gazillionaire, and he's an actor that everybody knows, but I don't know, he's not famous. I mean, he is, but he's not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know who he is, but you would never in your life put him on a list of the 15 greatest actors ever. You would never even think of him, and actually he's really good. Sons of Anarchy he was in, The West Wing.
I've never seen Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, well, if you want to see what biker life is not like at all, watch Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay.
It's about as realistic as, I don't know, I can't even, what was that really bad hockey movie with Rob Lowe? Youngblood. Yeah, it's about as realistic as that.
God.
Youngblood.
The most I know about Sons of Anarchy was in the wrestling company TNA, where they did a Sons of Anarchy knockoff stable called Aces and Eights, and the whole point of it was some biker gang was invading the company, and it was just stupid.
Yeah, well, it was Sons of Anarchy was entertaining and fun for the first 3 seasons, and then it got ridiculous. I don't care what anybody says, TV or not. No way are you going to get away with shooting 30 people inside of a 13-episode season and not have the entire fucking federal government there trying to figure out what's going on. They would just indiscriminately kill 30, 40 people a season and no one ever noticed. I just thought that was weird. Anyway, yeah. So tomorrow's the big day. All right, you guys are both going tomorrow, right, to Star Wars?
Tomorrow night, 11 o'clock.
Wow, late show,
I'm going to try to get in before the weekend, because this weekend I head back home and my dad did the whole family. Got tickets for the family for Christmas on the 25th. But I really don't want to wait that long, so I'm going to try to see if I can get into a showing before I head to Toronto.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Because it'll be a long wait.
It'll be a long. It's not so much the wait I can kind of handle, but avoiding spoilers.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, 11 days is going to be.
We have to have all seen it by the next show, because we have to do our Star Wars holiday special again. So we have to see it by whenever we record next week.
Speaking of that, Greg, did you ever see Justice League?
Not yet. No.
Oh.
No, I haven't had a chance yet.
Because it's really good.
It's one of those things where they lost steam pretty quick. Because I was I want to see it a second time, and I just it's I'll get around to it, and I don't know.
I also saw, though, The Disaster Artist.
Okay, how was that? That I want to see.
Glorious. It depends. Like, either of you guys seen The Room?
I've never seen it.
I've never watched it. I've seen a bunch of scenes from it, but I've never actually sat down and watched it.
I know everything you could probably know about it. But...
So The Room holds a special place in my heart because the last serious relationship I was in, that was actually first date.
Oh, jeez.
Was The Room.
Wow, you should have known that thing was doomed to failure from the start, man.
And The Room is a fantastically terrible movie.
I did not either.
It's great. I think one critic said it best is that like The Room was made by an alien who has never seen a movie but has had them explained to him.
Right, exactly.
And like The Disaster Artist is pretty great. It's fantastic, and they really go through, like, there's a lot of care when it comes to the actual making of The Room because they recreate almost the entire movie.
Right.
And the details are so, like, lovingly captured. They put a lot of effort into making sure that whenever they recreated a scene from like the actual Room movie, that it is done almost like to a T how perfect the recreations are.
That guy just cracks me up. Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah. It's just, I think, now that I think about it, whenever we do the show, if someone's in the middle of a long monologue or whatever, at the end of it, they should go, "Hi, Zach. Hi, Mike." Just at the end, just as a little tribute to that movie. Hi, Zach.
Oh, hi, Mark.
So, yeah, Disaster Artist, it's good stuff.
You're killing me, Mike.
You're tearing me apart. Which actually, the Disaster Artist actually explains how he got that line for the Room. He took it from Rebel Without a Cause.
Okay, I thought it was from. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a James Dean line, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
here's the real question: does Tommy Wiseau make a cameo in it anywhere?
It's in like an after credit sequence.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty great.
I got to see it. Yeah, as soon as I saw the trailers, I'm like, this I've got to see. Yeah. So I got that on my list. Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it looks.
Yeah, James. There's an after credit scene where, James Franco as Tommy Wiseau is talking with Tommy Wiseau.
Well, they've been on a couple of talk shows together. Have you seen the clips on YouTube of those guys together? It's weird.
Well, no, Tommy Wiseau is weird. Like, he's just like a weird guy. Like, someone asked him once, like, what is the point of the fact that in the middle of the movie The Room, all of the main characters just put on tuxedos and start playing football? Like, why? What's the point? And his explanation was, well, sometimes it can be fun and challenging to play football without the proper protective equipment.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't actually answer the question, but okay.
I think, though, that the alien that's making a movie, it's never seen one, but has heard how they're put together, is the perfect description of that movie and him. He's a guy, I think he's an alien. I mean, he's got to be, right? Nobody knows where he's from. And
he's never said where he's from. No one knows where he got all the money to pay for all this stuff.
And in this day and age, nobody can track him down.
Nobody knows how he is. He just it's like he's just this weird, and he kind of looks weird. Like he kind of looks like he's not a human, but wearing a human suit.
Right, exactly.
So somebody that was talking about this in this movie was like, Tommy Wiseau reminds him of the Vincent D'Onofrio character in Men in Black.
Oh, the bug guy?
Right.
Yeah. Where he definitely seems like he's an alien in a meat suit.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, though. In this day and age, where you can find out anything about anyone, no one can get any information on this guy. It's because he's from another planet. He has to be.
The most he says is, like, I'm from, like, Louisiana.
Oh, he's admitted he's from Europe now. He's admitted that he's from Europe.
It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I admittedly don't know much about Louisiana, but I'm pretty sure that accent isn't Cajun.
No, it's not. And he's admitted to being from Europe now, but he won't say which country. He says, I was born in Europe a long time ago.
Well, the vague thing is that it's definitely a European accent, but I'm just not sure, what kind?
Well, that's the thing. It's like a mixture of a bunch of different ones. again, I think that you can attribute that to him being an alien. He picked up. He thought, okay, these people talk like this. They talk like this. I will make an amalgamation of all those accents, and that's how I'll sound. I don't know. He's the weirdest dude I've ever seen, and it's like he didn't even need the money really that he's made, and I'm sure he's made a fortune off this thing by now, which is even more ridiculous, right?
Like like when I went on a date to see The Room, it was back when I was in university. We were doing and the film club at our university did a showing of The Room. But that was the thing. Like every month they did a showing of The Room. And it was this cult thing where if you wanted to, you could see it every month. And I went back and saw it again with a few friends. And anytime you went at like the film club, you would show up. It was like around 11 o'clock. Once a month, and you'd go there, and the place was packed.
Right, of
people. And it was just and it's actually hilarious to go. Like the entertainment you get from seeing it in person is the people you see it with, because there are people who go all the time.
Yeah,
who have turned like parts into memes.
Right,
it's great.
They interact with the screen and everything too, right? Yell lines and stuff.
The funniest thing is every time when the character Mark starts sleeping with Lisa, there will be people who like really passionately yell, "How could you? He's your best friend," at the screen.
That movie is your generation's Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but it was
I've seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I think that's incredibly unfair to that movie because the Rocky Horror Picture Show was an infinitely better movie.
Well, but as far as the week or the monthly showings and the cult following it's gotten and the interacting with the screen and stuff, it's basically the same idea.
It's great because Disaster Artist actually starts with it starts with a bunch of actors who are talking about The Room as a movie, and it's like documentary style where they're talking to the camera. And one of them, I actually forget who, but one of them goes, "It's absolutely amazing. It's like this movie came out 10 years ago. Can you even remember what the movie that won Best Picture was 10 years ago? No, but we're all still talking about The Room."
Right. What was that? Would have been what, 2007? I have no idea what won that year.
Yeah. And it was great because after the movie, like they kind of run those facts like after the movie, that like immediately after the movie ends, and a lot of movies will do. Like if it's based on a true story, it'll be like this is what happened to such person. Like after this movie is over, it goes Tommy Wright. It's like nobody knows where Tommy Wiseau is from. Also, when The Room debuted, it only played in one theater. Tommy Wiseau paid them to keep it running for 2 months so it could be eligible for the Academy Awards. And you guys will never guess how much money The Room grossed over its 2-month theatrical run.
Oh, I'm going to guess a couple $100.
More than that, actually.
A couple thousand?
Less than that.
Wow, I'd like $1,800 bucks. Oh, okay. My third guess. It's
1,800. Yeah.
But you're right, though. That's the thing about it is that I can't tell you. I don't even know. I can't think of a single movie from 2007 at all.
The Departed won the.
All right, that was a pretty good movie.
I can tell you it was. I can tell you one movie that came out in 2007. First Transformers movie. Oh yeah. That was out in 2007.
Guys, when you get to be my age, the years just all kind of blur together. They really do. Because at first I thought, I used to be like, why can't I remember who won the Super Bowl in 2002? And then I just realized it's just a thing that happens to you after you turn 40. The years just blend, and you can't keep anything straight. I can still do Super Bowls and World Series. That's about it. I can't tell you movies or anything. The Room. Yeah. Anyway, I want to see The Disaster Artist. I think it's going to be great.
I would recommend it doesn't really matter what order you see them in, especially even if you haven't seen the Room. If you're familiar with The Room, you'll still get all the references. But I would recommend either before or after seeing The Disaster Artist, watch The Room.
Oh, and by the way, I have breast cancer.
Oh yeah, they point that out. Like there's this scene where at the end of the movie when they're at the premiere of the movie, and everyone and like all the actors who are in it are there, and they're there with their families. And when "by the way, I have breast cancer" line comes up, the woman who plays that character goes to her husband. It's like, "This never comes back. I don't know why I say this."
That was what was so great about it, though. Just the scenes you watch on the internet. And you can pick it up in a 3-minute scene where something will pop up and it goes absolutely nowhere and you never see. That's it. It just happens. It's like if right in the middle of this conversation we started talking about, I don't know, clock repair, and just went right back to sports without even mentioning it. Just weird stuff. But anyway, yeah, I want to see that one. That's going to be cool. And I'm going to contend that Tommy Wiseau is an alien. That's the only thing that explains it. It's the only thing that makes sense.
An alien wearing a human suit.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it, Zach, the character from Men in Black that you brought up? Right.
Guy?
Yeah, he's that guy, basically. Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, you just imagine he's going to start twitching and being like, I need sugar.
So anyway, pretty big football weekend, guys.
Yeah, some interesting stuff came and went.
I want to bring this up before I forget. I don't know if you both watched the Monday night game where the Dolphins basically dismantled the Patriots in their beautiful throwback uniforms, but
I think it was a sign from God is what I think it was.
Believe it or not, from what I've read so far, Twitter was almost unanimous in saying that the Dolphins need to go back to those uniforms. And you know how hard it is to get anybody to agree on anything on the internet, but everybody's like, they've got to do this. And I was posting all over the place, this is why they're beating the Patriots, because they look like a real football team again.
I mean, I think it was a sign from God that if you go back to these uniforms full time, another undefeated season awaits.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I don't remember them looking that well. I didn't have HD TV back when they wore those either. My God.
That's I think one of the things. I think it's a combination of a few things. One, there was no HDTV, so I think a lot of us, kind of, even people who were around back then to see these old uniforms when they were contemporary, don't really understand just how like eye-catching and pop. And how much like the colors popped on a lot of these uniforms, because we either have only seen them, with what was then contemporary standard definition, or we have seen them in NFL films, which obviously uses old kind of grainy footage. Mm-hmm. So I think that helps. I think another thing that helps is the fact that these are old designs replicated using modern technology, so you really don't get a lot of that cheap looking mesh the NFL used a lot of back then.
Yeah,
like. For all the crap I think we rightfully give Nike, at the end of the day, it is sort of a higher quality uniform, at least as far as materials go. So when you kind of recreate these old looks using newer templates, it kind of allows a lot of the positive of those designs to pop without that sort of cheap-looking elementary PE mesh kind of look.
Well, I said when Nike first took over the uniforms that despite how they messed up some teams like Jacksonville and the Bucs and a few others, but I thought the cut of the jerseys themselves, just the cut, the way they fit, was outstanding. They looked great.
I think the cut looked a lot better now that they've moved on to a new plate that uses much more reasonable collar designs.
Yeah.
But these jerseys will still never look as good as they did in terms of the cut from years ago.
No, we need sleeves back.
Football jerseys are like, it's funny. I was watching a Dan Patrick show, puts up, they film it obviously, and they put their clips on YouTube. And they got a jersey from Jared Goff in the mail. And he, Dan Patrick takes it out of the box and he's like, he's like, when you pick these things up, you realize exactly why they don't sell authentic NFL jerseys, because the way that they're cut and just like the shape of the jerseys would look so weird on an average person that's not in competition. And they're weird, the current jersey cuts.
I got I don't know that it was an actual authentic, but it was like a replica that's just like an authentic that Nike, like when Josh Cribbs still played for the Browns, I saw one at TJ Maxx for like $10. I picked it up. I can't wear it because it just doesn't. It's made to be put over shoulder pads and stuff.
Right.
And you wear it, and it looks like somebody threw 3 different shirts at you. It's just weird. It doesn't work.
It's well, we need sleeves back. I think that's the first thing. Like, if you and don't give me this, it's a performance thing, because it's like you look back, and it's like, did Walter Payton suffer because he had to play wearing sleeves? Like, I don't no, he didn't.
I've brought this up before. Eric Dickerson used to make a point of wearing as much equipment as he could put on his body, because
I'm pretty sure half of that wasn't even. I'm pretty sure he just walked into a gym and just took whatever was there.
And that dude was one of the greatest running backs of all time. And he had on sleeves, elbow pads, the neck roll.
Giant Yeah, neck roll, the goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sleeves thing never made. I remember when it first started, when the linemen first started doing it, because they thought it would, cut down on holding and stuff, and fine, but
doesn't really cut on holding. That is proven.
Yeah. You'd think if there was any truth to that, we wouldn't get all the holding calls we have today. But
and not only that, but then it got to the point, and I haven't seen any this year, but remember the guys that had their sleeves cut so bad that it looked like they had like a sleeveless shirt on, and you could see like their it looks so horrible.
Was it Chris Hovan?
Sounds right. Yeah,
he was the worst. Like you could actually see his armpit hair.
It just didn't look good at all. But yeah, sleeves coming back would make such a huge difference. It would fix a lot of the striping problems that the jerseys have now, and it would just look a lot better.
I mean, look at that. Eric Dickerson, he does not look like he's particularly, hampered by his sleeves.
Yeah, he didn't have any trouble at all. I can't find
and the mouth guard too, by the way.
Yeah, but he said that he wore as much equipment as he could find because that's what he wanted to do, Safety thing or something, I don't know, but that dude was fucking good. I mean, Jesus, was he good.
And the shoulder pads back then.
Oh yeah, look at how big his shoulder pads are, though. I mean, those are like big for a running back even back then.
Yeah, no, that's big. That's big. I don't even think they make shoulder pads that big anymore.
Yeah, but this was a guy, and it didn't slow him down a bit. I mean, the sleeves obviously didn't hurt him, but neither did all the extra equipment with the speed. I mean, he still outran everybody on the field. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but yeah, it was the Dolphins looked fantastic, and then they beat the Patriots, which I just couldn't have been happier about. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna put this out there. I think I said this way back at the beginning of the season. That with Tom Brady, Zach, you brought it up. He's going to get old at some point. I think it happened Monday night. I think that all of a sudden he played like a 40-year-old quarterback.
But he's done that in Miami plenty of times.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's still too early to say Tom Brady suddenly got old. It has to be like a week-to-week thing. Like otherwise, it's just a bad game.
If the Patriots have a bad game in Miami or in Denver, I really don't think too much of it.
That's true
because they always do.
But now,
I don't think anything more of that game than any other game. Patriots are still the best team in the conference, and that game doesn't really do too much to sway me on that.
I don't know. I think
especially with how the Steelers looked against the damn Ravens.
They won, didn't they?
They won, yeah.
Barely.
Well, they losing Ryan Shazier. I mean, I had no idea that was going to affect their defense that much. Wow.
Barely, after barely beating the Bengals. And see, this is why I think the Steelers are paper tigers. Like, there's nobody in the AFC that I think can beat the Patriots. No one. No one.
Here's so now the Steelers have a 1-game lead as far as the race for home field advantage. So if they lose on Sunday against the Patriots, do they still hold some sort of tiebreaker where they keep home field anyway, or does that settle it? No, that would settle it, right? It had to be the first thing. Yeah, it had to be the first thing.
Head to head, it would go to the Patriots if they,
But that's true. Brady's 7-8 in games in Miami, which isn't great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
And
plus you have the fact that you have like a team like the Dolphins who they want to prove themselves, and there's all the hype of the national stage. Like I still, there's too much.
See, but
there's too many variables to just say, oh, well, the Patriots are bad now.
Well, I don't think they're bad. I don't think Tom Brady's done, but I think what we saw Monday, we're going to start seeing more of as the games and the years progress, because he's 40 years old. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible or anything, but he's not invincible anymore. And what I'm thinking happened on Monday night was he hit the top of the hill. He's starting to come down the other side now. Because he just didn't look good. But the Jay Cutler that played for the Dolphins Monday was the reason why I thought it was a good idea for them to sign him. Now, we haven't seen much of that guy this year, but he played pretty well Monday night.
Yeah, hey, if the Dolphins were in the AFC West, they'd be contenders.
This is true. Speaking of, let's fire it up. Another rendition of San Diego Superchargers. Mike's Chargers getting the job done again.
Los Angeles Superchargers.
Would they play Washington?
Yeah, they're not that great. The Chiefs got their things back on track by beating the Raiders. So now this week is a battle for first place in the AFC West.
On Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. That's Saturday game.
Saturday, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chargers Chiefs.
Saturday night, NFL Network.
Thursday night football, a Saturday night special.
God, yeah, that's so dumb that that a Saturday night game is getting the Thursday night football branding. Like,
they're not doing the color rush things too, are they?
Well, they announced the NFL announced that teams can be as flexible as they want to be with color rush, which basically says you don't have to do it.
Because Chargers and Chiefs could actually look pretty good if they stick to the normal uniforms.
Because it's in Kansas City, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Not that you could tell the difference from the first time they played in Carson, but you know.
How many Skins fans were it? I didn't see any of that game. Were there a lot of Washington fans?
I watched zero of it. I know I saw a picture from like 7 minutes after kickoff, and it still wasn't full.
I know that the Chargers are above 500.
Yeah, after an 0-4 start.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You know, despite the win, they're still not Los Angeles' best team quite yet.
Poor Philadelphia. I mean, man, oh man, this is like what happened to the Raiders last year. Remember with Derek Carr?
Yeah.
You've got this great season going, and boom, you lose your starting quarterback.
And that was an awesome game, too.
It really was, yeah.
The score gets a little blown out of proportion because of the last-second touchdown on the Rams trying to lateral it and whatnot.
Right.
It was a 1-point game. That was as good of a football game as you could find.
I think it was, until Wentz got hurt, I thought it was an NFC Championship preview game because they were clearly the two best teams.
I think so.
But I think this helps as much as I hate to see Carson Wentz be out for the season, this helps your Rams a great deal. He's out of the picture now.
Definitely. Well, and the thing with Wentz, it wasn't even necessarily things he was doing, although he did some great things and he looked the part of an MVP quarterback. It was the offensive line for the Eagles. The Rams just could not get any pressure on him all day. And, I thought, okay, when he went out, Nick Foles is coming in. I laughed at Nick Foles and I thought, okay, here's the Rams' chance to go and do it. And then they fumble it on the next possession, and Nick Foles comes in and he gets all the protection in the world still from that Eagles O-line, and he has all the time to find the passes. And he made some great passes himself, namely like that third down catch to keep the clock running. But yeah, the Eagles are a complete team for sure. But the Rams still put up points on them too. So
I forget who said this, but they said that basically the Eagles became the Vikings when Wentz went down, which is still not a bad place to be. They're still a good team, and it's just.
Well, speaking of the Vikings, didn't exactly have an inspired performance last week either.
No, Carolina, right?
Yeah, Carolina beat them. Carolina's 9-4. They're right up there.
Going to get interesting coming down the stretch here.
Yeah.
Especially with the Falcons beating the Saints, so suddenly the NFC South looks wide open too.
Falcons beat the Saints, and I thought the Rams were going to have trouble if they did lose this game because the Seahawks were right behind them and they play them this week, and the Jaguars managed to beat them 30-24.
Are you surprised the Jags put 30 points up on Seattle? I mean, I'm surprised they put 30 points up on anybody, but especially Seattle.
That defense is falling apart for Seattle.
It's no more Legion of Boom.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of injuries. That's true.
Yeah. And, the Jacksonville's defense is good too. Do enough to shut down Russell Wilson. He still throws 3 TDs, but the key for Jacksonville is letting Leonard Fournette do his thing like he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Controlling the game on the ground, kind of shortening the game and doing that. And Blake Bortles was okay. He wasn't bad.
What were his numbers? Do you have them in front of you? Because I want to see. I guarantee you that our line for Blake Bortles not being bad is much lower than most quarterbacks.
18-27, 268 for 2 TDs.
That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was okay. He had a better quarterback rating than Russell Wilson did, because Wilson threw 3 interceptions. No interceptions for Bortles.
Yeah, but you know what? Bortles may not have thrown any interceptions, but will Bortles have the emotional fulfillment that is visiting sick children in a Seattle area hospital?
Not only visiting them, Mike, but curing them. Just with his touch, just with his gaze. With his gaze, he just looks at them and they are cured. They all get up and they go, "Hi, Russell." Trying to do a little call back there to the beginning of the show. I don't think it worked very well. "Oh, hi, Russell."
You need an O in front of the hi. It can't just be hi. It has to be, "Oh, hi."
Oh, hi. Oh, that's right. "Oh, hi, Russell." There you go.
Hey. The Titans and the Cardinals played in possibly the worst football game of the year.
Well, my Tennessee Titans, my irrational confidence Titans. I mean, they're still 8-5, which is pretty good, but
they're still going to win the division. Or no, they're a game behind now.
Right.
I guess they'll still make the playoffs.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. They're at the 49ers, which I think the 49ers, that's all of a sudden a very tough game because Jimmy Garoppolo seems to be the real deal so far.
Yeah.
Then they've got your Rams at home, and then at the Jaguars at home. They could end up 8-8. Matter of fact, I'm calling it right now. They end up 8-8. They don't win another game the rest of the year.
You know what? 8-8 still is probably good enough to get into the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, you take the Patriots and Steelers out of it, it's good enough for home field advantage throughout, probably.
I don't know about that. Yeah. Because what's the playoff standings right now? Depends on what Buffalo does. Because you have the Bills and Ravens are both 7-6. The Bills pulling out that blizzard fest game that they played.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of that game is apparently wreaking havoc with the Broncos' ability to analyze game film.
I bet.
Yeah, because the Bolts are in all white.
Uh-huh.
And so apparently, according to an article on the Mothership, if you scroll down, you can see a shot from the game.
Right.
It's not exactly ideal.
Oh, wow. I didn't. Yeah. Okay. We all think those games look cool, but I'm wondering if you should. I mean, I don't know. I guess that they played, nobody got hurt or anything, but I don't know.
No, come on. This is a Grey Cup game in the CFL.
That's true.
Man up.
It looks cool. I don't think it's anything that'd be fun to actually sit down and watch for a full game or be there. I feel like if you're somebody that's going to that game, first off, you'd be freezing your ass off. Secondly, imagine when you get out of the parking lot. I'm sure we got to bring the snowplows in to clean it out before the game's over.
I used to live in upstate New York, and believe it or not, as bad as that looked, that's every day. That's a Tuesday or Wednesday for them up there. It's no big deal.
They've got that stuff handled.
Yeah. And when you live up there, if you don't have a garage, you carry a broom in your car because the snow scraper's not. You get like a big broom to just sweep the snow off every time you get out of the car. But it was nutty. I wouldn't have gone. Like, would you guys have gone if you'd seen the weather?
No.
I would like, forget this. No. For the Bills and the freaking Colts? No way.
I've skipped school because it looked that bad for her.
Well, get ready, Mike, because that's what you're coming back up to this next weekend.
You know what? I miss it. I legitimately, like, the weather is nice, but at the same time, there's something to be said about seeing a bit of snow in December that you don't really know you're going to miss until it's December and it's not snowing.
I completely understand that. The thing that was weird for me was there was no spring in Florida. Mm-hmm. Like, spring's my favorite time of year, and everything comes back to life, and there was none of that in Florida. It went from being 80 every day to 90. That was it. And I don't know. I'm going back down in January, so that'll be okay. But I don't know that I could ever live down there full time anymore.
The summers are hard.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the complaints from the two of you. Well, I don't get to see spring. Come on.
Well, you don't understand because you've never dealt with it. You've never lived it.
Yeah, it's fine. Fine.
I'm sure if I lived in California, I don't think I would ever leave. I'd just be like, where would you, if you lived in California, why on earth would you ever move anywhere else?
Because it's expensive.
Okay, but no, that's
also
true.
No water.
Yeah, and everything's on fire. All right, well, maybe not.
Everything is on fire, yes.
How close? Any of that close to where you are?
No, it's up in right now. It's up in North LA.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's being because I was under the impression that all of LA was on fire until I looked into it, and it's like, oh, it's actually not.
Yeah, well, it's the LA area, but it's not.
I think too that people think of LA, they think of it being like Cleveland, where the suburbs, everything's very close together. You got Cleveland, and then you can go from Cleveland the westernmost suburb, Avon, in 10 minutes. In L.A., it's I think that, I don't know, I may be wrong about this, but it seems to me like a town, one town, we'll just, and again, I'm not certain on the geography of this at all, but let's say Costa Mesa, and I don't know, I'll throw Anaheim in there because they're two names that I know. They could be 100 miles apart, right?
Well, Costa Mesa and Anaheim are...
Well, I know in reality, but what I'm saying is that they're right there. The L.A. area, you could have towns that both are considered L.A. area that are 80 miles apart.
Yeah. Right, Anaheim is not Ventura. The Rams practice in Thousand Oaks, which is not too far from fire. And then Anaheim is 40 miles away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
40, 50 miles away.
Like if you drive out of Cleveland and go west 40 miles, you're in Sandusky, a completely different town. It's like, that's what I'm trying to illustrate here. Is that's why when you hear about the fires out there, you think everybody lives that close together, and it's not. Yeah.
No, you're right. They're pretty bad fires, and one of them was actually in Bel Air, which is, I would call that more LA proper. And because did you guys see any of that video, the fire right next to the freeway?
No.
The flaming hill. Yeah, the 405 takes you from LA over the what is that, Sepulveda, into the valley, and that whole thing was on fire, like right up against the 405, which is probably the busiest freeway in the world. So it wasn't a good day to be driving that to west side of LA.
Wasn't it like Cousin Sal on the BS podcast this week said something like, if you drive at night, it's like you're driving towards a volcano?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It looks pretty nuts. But it didn't affect any of the football, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, just real quick on Anaheim, our Angels picked up. I can't think of it. Shohei
Ohtani.
Yeah.
The Japanese Babe Ruth.
Right.
Or so they say.
That'll be interesting. We can talk about that further down the road. But
Mike Trout can have some company in the wasted corner.
Well, this kid can pitch and hit.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're going to let him do both.
That'll be cool. I don't know that. I mean, he did it in Japan, so why not? He's a really good hitter and a really good pitcher, which I don't know how you do that anymore because everything's so specialized now. Anyway, back to football. Any other, what else happened? There was some good stuff. I just can't remember any of it.
I think a thing that we need to touch on, because we tend to do it here, is just hearts out to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, wow.
The Cleveland Browns of football?
Wow.
Okay, it's one thing that they keep losing, but this one, it was like they were so close.
Yeah.
And then they Brownsed
big
so
time.
Hard.
It was the greatest, it is the greatest, purest example of Brownsing since the team was refounded in 99.
I would say the playoff loss of the immortal Tommy Maddox might have been a little worse than this because it was a playoff game.
The immortal Tommy.
But other than
that's XFL MVP Tommy Maddox, I'll have you know.
Right, the immortal Tommy Maddox. The thing that kills me about it, because I watch it because my Packers are playing, it was one of those weird, I've got a paradox game here, I don't know what to do, so I just kind of sat back and didn't root for anybody, but the worst part of it wasn't like the Browns were just barely hanging on or just hanging. They were kicking the Packers' ass. They were dominating them. They actually looked like a good football team for 2.5 quarters. And my girlfriend, I said, it's 20. She was looked at the score, I'm like 21-7 Browns. She goes, oh, they'll blow it. That was like with halfway through the third quarter. Nothing even happened yet. She was that certain they were going to blow the lead and lose. And that's exactly what they did. I don't even know what you say to that team or the fans at this point. What do you do? God bless you for sticking with them. That's all I can say. But it was horrible.
Like as it was happening, I just was going like this can only end in a Browns loss, right? Like that, there's no way they win it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard something from Colin Cowherd of all people the other day that made sense. Basically what he was saying is like, yes, being an NFL GM is hard. It's a hard job, but the Cleveland Browns make it look like it's impossible.
They do.
Like he was basically, one of his arguments was basically the Browns over the last 10 years would have been better just straight up using mock drafts and or flipping a coin, and they would,
or just like a random name like just put every eligible player into a hat and pick a name randomly. Seriously.
And they didn't, Hugh Jackson is staying on. They fire the GM and all that, but head coach stays on
because that's what they need, another reset the GM position. That'll fix it.
Well, because you look at it, and Hugh Jackson was a guy that wanted Carson Wentz, and they said no.
Yeah.
He wanted a lot of these players that they've passed on in the draft or gone for others.
So it's like he's the one guy you keep.
Right. Well, that's why he's around. But really, even the Clippers at their worst were not as completely inept as the Browns have been over their tenure since their restart.
See, now I had seen some things about the Browns GM that got fired, where they did like this chart of the players he picked, and like it looked like he did very well, but other than the quarterback part of it, like he picked some good players.
And again, though, like as Zach said, if he had his way, he would have drafted Carson Wentz. And then you think the quarterback's not such a bad idea.
No, I thought Hugh Jackson wanted Carson Wentz.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and the front office didn't, and that was that. The baseball guy, Paul DePodesta, didn't want Carson Wentz.
Right.
Said he would never be a top 20 NFL quarterback. Yeah, never be a top 20 NFL quarterback. He was right. He's like number 2.
Yeah.
But that's well put, what Coward said there, that they make it look impossible. I just don't get it.
The job's not as hard as they make it out to be. It really isn't.
No.
Like, yes, it's a difficult job, but not as hard as they make it. It's like they purposefully go out of their way to make the wrong decision every time.
You almost think that has to be it, because just the law of averages would say they'd get it right a couple of times just by accident, just because.
Yeah.
Again, that's what Zach said. Like, they're almost better off just flipping a coin for all their decisions.
Seriously. A coin flip would get to, back to mediocrity. But they're not even that. They're just awful. Well,
when they pick a guy that's a baseball guy, and I kind of understand the reasoning behind it. He's good with the analytical stuff and the extended whatever we call it and all that stuff, but he's still a baseball guy, and he doesn't have the experience with football numbers that he has with baseball numbers. I mean, he might be learning the football numbers, but he doesn't have the lifetime that got him to the point where he was good with the baseball analytics, and that's the difference. So I got why they tried it, but why not find the football version of him and use him instead? I don't know. It's a disaster. I also don't think that analytics really played into football that much as they do in other sports. I agree. I don't know how you even do analytics in football.
Also, picking a football guy, picking a baseball guy to win a football, to run a football team has got to be another Brownsiest Brown move. Like, really?
It's remarkable. I've never in my life, and I've been watching football a very long time. I mean, even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their first 2 seasons weren't this bad. I've never seen anything like it. It's just amazing.
That's what I'm saying. This version of the Browns has to be the most inept sports franchise of all time.
Absolutely. They're 4 and 40 something in their last however many games it is now since.
Here's an example. Just to because we haven't touched on much hockey lately, just to kind of throw this in there. The Cleveland Browns have been around for 10 years, over 10 years now, right? They came back in
almost 20.
99.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Been
almost 20 years.
Right.
The Vegas Golden Knights, made up of all the misfits they could find from all these random NHL rosters, are contending for first place in their division in their first season.
And the Browns in 18 years are just
a sad sack franchise.
Like the Blue Jackets didn't have the most auspicious start for a new franchise. I mean, they were horrible for a while, but now they've kind of gotten it together.
The team I was going to say, because I think there's a lot of parallel that you could draw up between the Cleveland Browns and the Toronto Maple Leafs, insofar as you've got a historic franchise with a lot of pride, but they've struggled recently, and I think the fans are perhaps remarkably similar in that, probably most Leafs fans are along like the thought of, we just need some good Ontario boys, that'll fix it. There's a lot of parallel between those two. But the Maple Leafs over the past 2-3 years have really kind of turned around one of the saddest teams in the league into a playoff contender. And you kind of look like what they did last year, what they're doing now. And it's like, oh, right. Like, they got the right people involved. They made the right decisions, and suddenly there's hope. Whereas the Browns have never really had that. They've had false starts where you think they're doing that, but then they just, we thought they would be at least, we thought they could reach 500 this year, maybe.
Yeah.
And now we're 3 games away from the 0-16.
Well, and their best chance of winning a game. Their best chance of winning a game was Sunday against the Packers. That was it. If they didn't get that one, they weren't going to get one unless
they play the Bears in Week 17. I think that's it. Like if they're going to have a shot, that's the one.
It's on the road.
The last game of the season. Put everything you can into it. Got to win a game, or it's the last game of the season. We just want to go home.
Yeah, is that their last game?
I believe so. Yeah,
they played the Steelers in the last game. Let me see.
Oh wait, no, it is. It is Week 15. Their last 3 games, they play the Ravens,
Bears, Steelers,
and then the Steelers.
The last two are on the road. So,
and that Steelers game, depending on how they and the Patriots do, the Steelers could be going all out because they like that could be a win and they get home field advantage sort of game. So.
Yeah, or if everything's settled by then maybe the Steelers set everybody down. But you don't want to be the team that loses to the Browns. I don't care if it is the last game of the season. No, that's another problem they're going to run into now is that no one's going to back off on them because you don't want to be the Chargers from last year. You know. What was it I heard, too? They have not won a game on a Sunday in, 5 years or something like that.
Oh, God.
Goodness.
It's just horrible. No, I just don't know what to do at this point.
They have come on, stop. With their loss on Sunday, the Browns have the worst 45-game stretch in NFL history.
Yeah.
4-41.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm just going to point out that
you've won 4 games out of 45.
Not even the Lions were that bad, and they had that 0-16 stretch.
Sorry, I should say that they tied the 07-10.
Oh, did they?
For the worst 45-game stretch.
I'm just going to point out again, too, that this all happened after they changed uniforms. Now, I'm not saying they were headed towards Super Bowl contention or anything before this, but since they've gone to those ridiculous clown suits they wear now, they've gone 4-41.
Well, wasn't the first year of the clown suits that game where they lost to the Ravens off a last-second blocked field goal?
Sure was. Yeah. But I'm trying to think back because they did have a couple seasons there. I don't know, between 2002 and I'll say 2005. They weren't horrible like they are now. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, what happened? What happened along the way that made them go so horribly off course?
Even in 2014, when this streak started, they started the season 7-4 with Brian Hoyer.
Right, yeah.
And then since that time, they've gone 4-46.
Yeah, I mean, what happened?
If I want to say what happened between 2014 and today, it's probably the fact that they keep firing coaches and DMs after 1 or 2 years. That's never going to help. You need to give one guy, or at least one team, probably a 5-year window just to see at least if their program is going to work.
I think they're doing that with Hugh Jackson now. There were a couple of years, I remember back around 2014, 2015, where they were hitting the reset button after every bad season, and you can't do that. You got to give somebody some time to at least see their program through. What do you guys think of this? I've seen a few people around here and in the national media throw this out. Do you think because you really don't have any veteran players at all. They're all just young, and everybody's like, they need some veterans to get in there and show them how to win. I don't know what that means, but I'm starting to think maybe it makes a little bit of sense that they have no veteran players, so like veteran leadership or anything.
We had said that was the case. We said that might have been the case for getting rid of all these guys, and you spin it in a way, it's like, oh, they have all this young talent and they have all these draft picks and they're going to be great, but yeah, they need to. It's I've seen it plenty of times, and I can't. Well, here you go. Like the Los Angeles Kings, for example. All right, right before they won their cups, they were getting all these draft picks and they were stocking up all this young talent. They had all this talent, but at a certain point, you need to make the moves to get yourself to the next level, and you need to say, well, we got to sacrifice some of this young talent, sacrifice some of these draft picks, and get some veteran leaders, some real strong talent to come in. And the Kings did that, and they ended up winning a cup. Whereas with the Browns, it's like all they're doing is constantly reloading. Yeah, and like, well, we're gonna invest in more draft picks, and more draft picks, and more draft.
Look, I'm gonna pull another Maple Leafs reference out. Like in this offseason, we kind of gave them crap for signing Patrick Marleau because it was $3 million a year for 3 years or something like that.
Well, so I don't think that's a bad contract.
No, but Patrick Marleau older guy, definitely near the end of his career, but the Maple Leafs being a team most of young guys, they brought Patrick Marleau in to be a veteran leader. And guy's got 11 goals and 7 assists on the year. And the team's doing well. So, yeah, there is something to be said about giving a team of young guys just some proven veteran leadership who maybe won't light the world on fire, but, will show them how to, I guess, win, for lack of a better term.
How to play in the NFL or the NHL. As simple as that, maybe. It's just a matter of showing them the ropes. I don't know. It's I think you're right, though. They can't just hit the reset button again because that's not getting anybody anywhere. What looks to me happened here is that there was a bit of a power struggle between Hugh Jackson and the general manager, and ownership decided that, well, the GM's the guy that didn't want Carson Wentz, didn't want Jared Goff, and went with, Deshaun Kaiser instead, blah, blah, blah. Hugh Jackson seems to have the better grasp on things, so we're going to give the coach another shot at it.
Did they at least fire Jonah Hill?
Did they what?
Did they at least fire Jonah Hill?
I don't know. I think he's still there. I'm not sure. I know
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. It's a good question. I don't know, but it's a mess. I don't know. It's just I don't know what else to say except I don't know what you do at this point. Patience, I suppose. I don't know. It's just it's the worst disaster I've ever seen in sports. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I know I saw some people on the CCSLC going like, "Oh, Browns are leading the Packers with less than a quarter to go," and I was like,
I saw that too. I wanted to just say, just wait. It's not over yet. Just hold that thought, and there we go.
Well, like I said, when my girlfriend, I come upstairs, I'm like, hey, she's like, what's the score? She's not watching. I'm like 21-7 Pat or Browns. Just kind of like looks up over her iPad and goes, they'll blow it. Don't worry about it. And went back to reading. I mean, that's how certain she was. And if that's how bad things are, people just like, no chance. I just found a thing called the Cleveland Browns Misery Index.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had the quarterback list, which I thought was a pretty big. Although it got so ridiculous that the guy who had that quarterback jersey had to stop making it because he's like, guys, I literally can't fit any more names.
Well, yeah, he'd be like walking on it. It'd be dragging on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, here's just a couple real quick. The Browns have lost 41 games since the start of 2015. Tom Brady has lost 40 games since the start of 2005.
Yeah.
While losing 41 games, the Browns have won 4. We just brought that up. While losing 40 games, Tom Brady has won 145. Oh, my. Whew. Anyway.
Could Tom Brady beat the Cleveland Browns single-handedly? Like, literally just him?
Well, he's got to know. Who would snap the ball to him? But other than that, I'd like his chances.
Gronk. Him and Gronk.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there any other football we want to get to, or I'd like to go through the hockey a little bit here.
I just want to say that both the Jets and Broncos are entirely useless, and
when it comes to the NFL, I don't know how.
Mike and I had a classic, just a quarterback matchup in the fantasy football playoffs, a matchup for the ages over the weekend.
Continental Football Association first-round playoffs. Casey Keenum and the Chicago Cardinals went into the Toledo
Ramblers. The Ramblers.
The Toledo Ramblers, led by Zeppo McCown.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing to mention. Zeppo McCown, R.I.P. He's out for the season.
Miraculous. Well, first off, I think Mike and I will both agree that the fact that either one of our teams made the playoffs is ridiculous.
Yeah, looking back at my roster, I have no idea how I won 8 games. It's legitimately baffling to me. Like, my quarterback duel this season was Tyrod Taylor and Casey Keenum.
But anyway, so we match up 8-5, 8-5. Mike's quarterback is Keenum. Mine is Zeppo McCown. Now, okay, Zeppo McCown, when I checked, had minus 5.5 points before he broke his hand and was out for good. And I still ended up winning the game somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you want to go on and let's talk a little pucks. We haven't done any hockey really at all this year.
Yeah.
And I just see that my Columbus Blue Jackets are leading the Mighty Met here.
Yeah, the Mighty Met.
Oh, no, they're tied with the Caps. I take that back. Tied with the Caps at 39-26.
Well, that Metro division can change at any point because you have the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the division. 6 out of 8 are separated by 4 points.
Wow.
So you got Columbus and Washington at 39, New Jersey 38, the Islanders 37, and the Rangers and Pittsburgh all the way down the bottom of that list, 35.
Well, speaking of hockey really quick in fantasy sports, I'm trying to get Ryan Getzlaf off waivers. Who was the person that let him go?
I don't know. Hang on. Let's see.
Pretty silly,
Vegas. So that would have been Dennis.
Huh. I know. Has he been hurt or something, Zach, or what?
Yeah, he had a broken jaw.
Well, guess what?
Broken jaw, broken face.
With any luck at all, he'll be a Toledo gold digger by Friday. Anyway, so let's go back into the actual game itself here.
Maybe you shouldn't have said that out loud, Greg.
Why?
Now everyone's gonna.
Oh, I mean, anybody
claim.
Yeah, you know what?
Ryan Getzlaf off waivers, and
well, here's the thing: if I'm the only person that's looking at the waiver thing, then you know what? I don't know what to say about our league. Fuck, honestly, I don't. This isn't live. I'll edit it out. Screw that. Okay, never mind.
Well,
I'll just say, Dennis let him go, and Dennis is like leading the league, so maybe
he knows something we don't.
Maybe he knows what he's doing.
Because Getzlaf was injured.
Yeah.
You know what do you want? You could have put him on. I don't know. Did he not have any IR spots? I don't know.
That's what I'm guessing. But
let's see what his.
If either one of you are thinking about,
he's got a free IR spot.
Well, maybe he came off IR and then he had to go make. It was one of those things where when you have to go make a move, if you have somebody on IR that's available, they force you to either put him on your team or let him go.
Well, I know that
if he's leading the league, then what are you going to do?
With the waiver thing in our league, I have the first crack at him because you guys are both in front of me in the standings, so I'm not worried about it. As far as anyone else goes, I'm just going to edit this part out, so that won't be a big deal.
But yeah, hockey, the Mets, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a crazy division.
The Mets, insane. The Atlantic got a bit interesting with Montreal kind of having a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, where's the thing? Yeah, Montreal's pushing back up a little bit. I don't think
they're only a game. They're only a game behind Boston for that third spot in the Atlantic.
Yeah, well, Carey Price came back. That was a big thing for him.
Is Shea Weber still out with Montreal?
I believe so.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you real quick. He's on my team. No, he's back. Anyway, go ahead. He's back.
I'm trying to pull up the right standings here. Okay. Yeah, Montreal made a little bit of a surge, but they're 5 points out of a wild card, and they're 2 points behind Boston for third place in the Atlantic. Tampa is just the Death Star this season. They're killing everybody. They beat St. Louis last night for the top two teams in the league. So that's pretty impressive. 22-6-2.
Why are the Blues wasting their time?
Yeah. What are they doing, winning all these games, leading their division? What, so they can lose to Chicago in the wild card round? Like, what's the point?
What's the point, right? Why are you doing this? Why are you wasting our time?
If the season ended today, they would be playing the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, well, okay, that's a first-round matchup. I think they can win that.
But I'd give it to Dallas.
But Dallas is tied at 35 points with Chicago and Calgary.
Like, legitimately, I don't believe the St. Louis Blues are capable of getting past the second round until they actually prove that they can do it. No, I'm sorry. I know you're always on that bandwagon, Greg, but I can't do it anymore. Like, St. Louis and Washington, no, I'm not picking you for anything anymore.
They do look pretty good this year.
Who, the Caps or the Blues?
The Blues.
No. I'm not. No.
They look a little better.
No, I'm not doing it. I have been going with that stupid siren song of theirs for like 15 years now. They can go fuck right off. I'm not doing it.
To the rocks one too many times.
Yeah, I've gone over the cliff too many damn times with that crew. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, first place in the division.
I know.
We can say our annual "Why do we even bother" party.
And hey, you said about Washington, they had a rough start, but now they're tied for first in the.
You know what? No. What? So they can lose to the Rangers or Penguins again in the second round? No.
I would be more inclined to jump on the Washington bandwagon than St. Louis bandwagon at this point, and I'm not getting on either one of them.
I'm very happy. My Leafs, obviously, as Zach said, Tampa's sort of the Death Star, so they're 5 points behind Tampa, but Toronto 41 points. They're 9 ahead of Boston. They've got a pretty solid lead for that second spot in the Atlantic. I'm very happy how this.
The Leafs are playing real well. I was impressed by them when I saw them.
Well, yeah, but this is kind of. I mean, they were kind of where they were supposed to be at this point, right? Maybe not quite this good yet, but.
They kind of surprised everyone last year. I think they're kind of a year ahead of where everyone thought they'd be, because last year wasn't quite. I don't think they were supposed to make the playoffs last year, and they did. So, but considering that last year they made the playoffs, yeah, but it was kind of a last kind of week of the season deal where they just barely got in. And they had a strong showing, but still lost the first round in 6 games. And so now to go from that to doing pretty well for themselves, I think in the East, they've got the second best point differential out of everyone in the East. So
who did they play in the first round last year?
Washington.
That's right. Yeah.
That was when everyone was kind of like, the Caps better be concerned, because they almost lost to the freaking Maple Leafs. But
I don't know. There's a tiny little part of me that wants to go out on the limb and do the hot take thing. I just got this like tiny little gut instinct that this is the year that Washington finally puts it all together.
Oh, you know what? No.
I had that gut instinct last year, Greg.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying there's a part of me that thinks that would be a neat thing to do, but I'm not doing it.
Every hockey analyst has had that feeling every year for the past 5 years.
Yeah, you think I'd learn with St. Louis too by now, right?
Just, you know what, Greg? No. Greg's not allowed to make picks anymore for
the thing that's interesting to me right now, the thing that kind of interests me, kind of scanning the standings, if the playoffs started today, Pittsburgh would not be a playoff team.
No.
Wow, really?
No, they wouldn't, but again, like you said, Zach, that Metropolitan Division is crazy close.
Yeah, no, the Metro's a monster, and they had a little bit of injuries with the goaltending, and they have played a lot of games in recent years, but still, this is the back-to-back defending champions, and for them to be, not scoring not scoring as many goals as they should, letting in more goals than you expect them to. The defense, they never was able to probably rebuild it after losing as many guys as they did last year. They're struggling. They
are struggling, but I think you explained why, Zach. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I think if there's anything we've learned from the pseudo dynasties that were the Kings and Blackhawks over the last couple of years, it's that repeating is very hard in this league, and it does take its toll if you can manage to pull it off.
Oh, yeah.
What was the last team to win 3 in a row? It's probably Edmonton, right?
It'd have to be, because I don't think no one in the 90s did it.
Yeah, three in a row would have to be Edmonton.
Yeah, I think that these days, like, to see a three-peat champion is all but impossible.
Between the salary cap and just the fatigue that comes with playing that much hockey,
right? I
think it's just not possible. The thing that really stands out to me, though, well, 2 things stand out to me as like legit. No, wait, 3 things as legit bona fide surprises. 1, Tampa being as good as they are. Like, I knew that they'd be a good team, but not good, not so far ahead of everyone else. That stands out to me. Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Second in the West, in the Central, yeah.
I saw them play the Ducks, and they're legitimate. They're no fluke. They got the goaltending with Connor Hellebuck now, and they're scoring goals. I think that the big thing is that they're scoring goals.
Plus 20 point differential, and that's nothing to laugh at.
Yeah. 18-8-5. They're doing pretty hot.
And then the other surprise, legitimately, is Vegas being as good as they are.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Now, is that okay? You see this a lot in sports all over the years. Like that's not really though just like your basic nice 3-week start to the season. I mean, they're pretty solid. Is this
at this point? I think you have to give it to them that they've got something going here.
Again, having seen them play a couple times now, they play hard, they play fast, they forecheck like hell. They're an entertaining. Like the thing too with Vegas, it's not like it's this new team with a bunch of misfits and say, oh, we're going to play the trap. We're just going to play trap and do all we can to win and play unexciting hockey. They're an exciting team to watch. And so not only are they getting new fans by being a new team, not only are they getting new fans by winning, they're getting fans by just being an exciting brand of hockey to watch, despite all the shenanigans that are Vegas Golden Knight games.
Like the fucking gourd mascot and the styrofoam castle.
I love the mascot. That's like the greatest mascot ever. Come on.
The little, well, the sword and the stone bit from the beginning of the game.
That's
the other
pretty
night
lame.
when they played the Ducks, the two guys like hit each other and fell down, and the sword didn't come immediately out of the stone, I guess. It was
Just as the Arthurian legends predicted.
Yes. Yeah.
I will say though, like just looking at the standings on the NHL's website, the name is still dumb because you see all these city names and then it's just Vegas.
Yeah.
And it's like, just be Las Vegas.
It's
be Las Vegas.
It's not too different than when you're going through and you're like Golden State. Like that's that does not work.
They're 19-9-2. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed this. I would have thought 19 wins all season, maybe.
Yeah. And then the thing that's surprising me personally, the Ducks with all the injuries that they've had, just the mountain. I think every single one of our defensemen has been injured at one point. Getzlaf was injured for significant time. Kessler's still out. Raquel was out. So, our top scorers, Perry just went out last night. And they're still 2 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Through all that adversity. And now they're getting guys back. Hopefully Perry's not out for too long. Kessler should be back in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And when this team's at full power and they get the Adam Henrique in a trade, and he's been great since coming over, I think the Ducks are stronger than they were a year ago when they're healthy. And hopefully that will, once they're all together and they start to mesh, that will equal a rocketing up the standings. It'll be a little bit because they're 10 points behind LA. I don't know if that Pacific Division Championship streak will continue, but I really don't care about that anymore. I just want them to make the playoffs and be a contender.
I think Edmonton's massively disappointing.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Is everyone was on the Oilers' dicks? Like they were all ready for the Oilers to explode and be the next great team. And turns out that they still haven't really fixed the defense. And Cam Talbot's a little bit worse than he was a year ago because maybe he was having the year of his life a season ago.
The thing about it is that I don't think anyone honestly believed that Cam Talbot was the long-term fix. Like, how could you think that Cam Talbot is the long-term fix for any team at goaltender?
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing that people have brought up too, because they've been struggling with goals a little bit, especially outside of the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl line. It's funny what happens when you trade away young scoring talent. Because they traded away Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, and Taylor Hall's having a great season with that's another surprise team is the New Jersey Devils being as good as they are.
I think that's going to be one that's going to regress as the season goes on.
And then they also traded Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome, and Eberle's tearing it up with
the Eberle. The Eberle trade is the one I really don't understand. Like Taylor Hall, I get, but Eberle, no.
Yeah, and so now you have Edmonton second to last in the West. They'll never be the last because goddamn Arizona's a tire fire. Like I have never seen a worse hockey team than
I thought the Coyotes had a real shot this year to do something.
They made moves. They were trying to be better. Like Palmerson, they got Antti Raanta, Derek Stepan. They had all these young kids. They were ready to go. And now their
goal differential is minus 39. The next worst one from that is minus 8.
I know, right?
in 33 games, they have 6 regulation wins.
They have the worst. They have the worst goal differential in
the
Western
Western Conference, but yeah,
in the league, even in the East. Buffalo has negative 37.
And Buffalo's another team that at this point should be better than they are, but they continue to be awful.
I think Buffalo is a cautionary tale of what happens when you just make your best player the de facto general manager.
Yeah, well, they just have the problem is they haven't gotten anything else around him. And Jack Eichel, people are starting to be down on Jack Eichel saying, "Oh, well, you know, we were comparing him as a good consolation prize to Connor McDavid. Maybe he's not that anymore. And it's like, well, look what he's had to work with, guys. Like he has nothing to do there. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and Buffalo's been bad, but I legitimately, I don't think I've ever seen a worse hockey team than these Coyotes.
Let's wrap it up. Everything's popping in and out again here. Before we go, reminder, we're going to try to have the Star Wars holiday special next week if we all get to see the movie, which we should be able to. So that'll be fun. And until next time, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe to the show via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube, and you can find us on Facebook. We'll see you next time.
Adios.